Now, I will move on to the second part of our lesson and our course, and this one is going to take much of the time than the first one. That is why I was trying as much as possible to summarize the first aspect and the introduction. Now, the truth is that before I continue, all of us, before you can be an effective teacher, there are things that you need to do to be effective. And in the context of classroom management, what are those important things that you need to do? You need to ask yourself. When you are in the classroom, when you are facing challenges, which we will come to think about or discuss, the question you need to ask yourself is, what are the things I'm going to do in order to manage the situation? We know that there are sometimes things go normal as you plan, but some days things will go haywire, so much distraction. Those are the things that we are going to focus on when we come to the challenges. However, we want to look at the importance of classroom management. From the discussions above, you will all agree with me that this course, effective classroom management, is very, very important. It's important for every teacher to have knowledge of and be able to apply to his or her class in the teaching and learning process. Now, so I want us to continue and now look at the importance of classroom management. In other words, why classroom management is important. Take note. The classroom is an environment meant for teaching and learning, which is in long run helps pupils and students achieve their academic goals and aspirations. The classroom, the purpose of it, how important it is the environment, the list of the environment. When they come to the compound everywhere. When learning is supposed to take place, they go into the confines of the classroom. And in that place, that is where we are going to assess the pupils and students to know whether they are doing well academically. Therefore, classroom management is a necessary skill and expertise needed by all teachers. And in this context, now I'll come to that later, by the way. In this context, you as the teacher in the 21st century, you are more of a facilitator than just a teacher who in the oldest days seems to know it all and pour it on your pupils and students. For now, you, the teacher, we say you are a facilitator. So you as a facilitator, because you need expertise, and this expertise that you need, they will enhance your teaching and learning to be able to achieve your goals for the class. Therefore, first of all, I want us to look at the importance. Now, the first importance of classroom management, what you need to know how to manage your class, is that, one, it helps improve students' academic performance, that is general skills. When you are able to adopt the right skills and the pupils and students pay attention to you in the learning process, That is why it is important that you should know the skills that you apply, the techniques that you apply, how to look at the behavior of students, how to embrace them sometimes, and be able to guide them through the teaching and learning process. So if you're able to manage your class effectively, then that is why it is important to know how to manage your classroom. The next one is that if you are able to manage your class effectively, in other words, you know how to conduct your pupils and students and get their attention in the teaching and learning process, it minimizes the rate of problematic and negative behavior in your class. If you are able to manage your pupils and students well, you are able to strategize and observe their behavior day to day, and know particular pupils and students, their behavior, how they change sometimes. You are able to do that, then what happens? You will be able to achieve the goal sets for your classroom. That is why it is important to know how to manage your class. That's the second one. The third one is that classroom management gives the teacher more time to support individual students, especially those pupils and students who have learning difficulty. You will agree that some pupils and students have learning difficulty. And if you are able to manage your class effectively, get the attention of all of them, or you give them assignment to do in the teaching and learning process, we know the activities that we apply for them to follow. And if you are able to manage your class, it helps you to help or identify those who are having difficulty in the teaching and learning process, and you'll be able to ask them questions and elicit answers. And if they are not able to answer, or they are having difficulty on in answering the question, or they don't understand, in that time they have learning difficulty, and you will be able to help them to help them to understand, or in other words, follow the teaching and learning process. So classroom management, effective classroom management helps you. It is important because it will help you to identify pupils who are having difficulty understanding whatever lesson or topic you are treating, and you'll be able to pay attention to them. However, if there is a challenge, or they are having difficulty, they are not able to understand or follow you, what will happen is that you'll be having difficulty managing. So that is why classroom management is very, very important. The next one is about students' academic engagement increase when their teachers are willing to listen to them. Yeah. Now, in classroom management, every teacher should be able or ready to listen to the pupils and students in the teaching and learning process. You should be able to listen to each or every individual in the class and be able to satisfy their curiosity or the problems they are having in understanding the discussions or the activities that are going on. And in that context, if you are able to manage, if you are a good teacher who can effectively manage your class, then you will know that, no, if you are using a technique in managing the class and you are having difficulty, your pupils and students are having difficulties, so what do? you need to adopt different technique in order to elicit their attention and help the pupils and students follow the teaching and learning. So that is why it is very important. You'll be able to what? Pay attention to individuals, pupils, and students and help them to overcome their misunderstanding or things that they need to get clear in the teaching and learning process. Now, I want to go to the next one. The next one is, if you are able to manage your class effectively, why it is important is that in classroom management, it creates and establishes a pleasant, orderly, and friendly classroom environment. I want to go over that again. If you are able to manage your class effectively, what it does is that it creates a pleasant, orderly, and friendly classroom environment. Not only that, it enables social and emotional learning. Social and emotional learning. Now, how a child needs to be patient in your class to listen to you is part of emotion. How a child needs to have confidence in the teacher who is in the class, who is teaching. The child should be able to have that confidence that if I ask a question, my teacher will not insult me or shout on me. On this one, let me come in. I could remember those days when we were in secondary school. I want to give an example of a mathematics teacher. I hope some mathematics teachers are on this platform listening to me. And this mathematics teacher, when you ask question, instead of to answer the question, he will insult you. Or sometimes you say you are blockheaded and all those things. I know many teachers also do that. If you do that, you will not be able to have the confidence of the pupil or student. So in classroom management, we have to understand it is important to know how to manage your class, because in the teaching and learning process, you need to get the attention of the pupils and students. You need to get their confidence. You must not demoralize them in the teaching and learning process, because if you demoralize them, what will happen? When we were in the next lesson, we'll be looking at that. Now, so what I want to emphasize in this context, why it is important to know how to manage your class, is the fact that all of us, both the teacher, pupils, and students, we have what I already mentioned, our personal character traits. And sometimes situations, conditions around us don't favor us, and we react sometimes to the situation. The elderly ones, we are taught how to manage our character traits. However, the pupils, especially teachers who are teaching in the nursery, sometimes you know what happened in the nursery, and recently some of the experiences, it was so marvelous. You know what happened in the classroom. But if you are able to manage these children and get their attention, in other words, get their liking, they get to love their teacher, you know you will be able to achieve your goals or your objectives for the period. That is why it is very important to know how to manage your class. I'll give you another experience in my consultancy work. and why it is very important that you should know how to manage your pupils and students to get their attention, because you must also know that teaching is your job. And if you lose that job, it means that you lose your credibility sometimes. I will explain. You lose your credibility if you are not able to manage your class, you are not able to manage your pupils and students, their character traits. If they are not, you are not able to achieve that goal, what happens? It affects your credibility. And this is what I want to share with you. I am consulting for a school, and there was a particular class that pupils started reporting to their parents that if that teacher will be the one who will teach them again in the next term, then they will not go to that particular school. Or they will not, because they will not go to that particular school because that teacher will still be there to teach them. In my observation, one thing I always do in order to get the right answers or to observe the situation, analyze them for myself and be able to contact the teacher and deal with the situation, is that I want to deal with the situation directly in the classroom setting. So I went to that class one day. Without notice, I observed the class. One thing I discovered in the class is that the teacher have what we call I don't care attitude. And I, as the school consultant going into the school, going to the class, the demeanor, the behavior, the response also show me that the teacher don't have that quality or doesn't know how to manage the classroom or manage the ego of the pupils and students, and that is why the pupils and students are saying that they will not be in the class again if that is the teacher that will teach them in the next term. Another thing is that the teacher still have the mentality of shouting on the pupils when they ask questions. Some is like there is so much what I call divide and rule in the teacher's class. And those who study government, I know you know what divide and rule is. It's like the teacher likes some pupils and students in the class, whilst he more or less dislike some of the pupils and students. If you do that in your class, you will find it difficult to manage the egos or the character traits of the pupils and students. So that is why it is very, very important to know the techniques to adopt, the strategies, the activities that you need to engage the pupils and students in order to be able to get their attention for effective teaching and learning to take place. From the above, before I begin to attend to your questions, I can see some of the questions on the Facebook page. Before I begin to attend to your questions that I receive, I want to emphasize that it is important to use effective classroom management strategies as they serve as both preventive and intervention methods that promote positive outcomes for students. Not only for students, but for the teacher and the students. What are the positive outcomes you are looking at as a teacher? You have set goals, set objectives to achieve in the teaching and learning process. And that those set goals, those set objectives, if you achieve them, then you have a success for that particular class. If the pupils understand you, They ask questions that help you to explain further, or they said they understand. You ask them questions and they respond correctly to the questions. It means you have achieved your goals of that class for the day, and that it means you also manage your class effectively, and that it means you have success with it. And different successes in the teaching and learning process by one teacher, by the other teacher, by all teachers, bring out the best in the child or the pupils and students that we raise. And if you are able to manage the pupils and students effectively, and you have the right outcome, that is why it is important that you should know how to manage these pupils and students. Finally, if you are not able to manage the pupils and students, the negative aspect of it, which we will have to look at later, is that you will have a chaotic situation in your class. You have a chaotic situation in your class. That is why the activities, the behavior, the techniques, the skills, all of them that you are applying, in the long run, what you are looking forward for is for your pupils and students to pay attention to you, and you apply the knowledge and skills that you desire in order to achieve the goal set for that particular class. Now, so I will say, going through these topics today, I want to go over what I have gone through as a way of summary, and we will open up now for questions to come in. Those who are able to connect, then we will take the questions, and if you are coming in, you unmute your mic and you'll be able to ask your question and you will get your answer. Yes, some people are finding it difficult. They want screenshots. All this will be done, and in fact, my technical man behind is actually taking note of everything, and we will look at all of them. So today, what we have looked at is that in the first place, in our abstract, we identify that there are numerous challenges that a teacher faces in the teaching and learning process, and that, however, we are obligated to be able to manage our classrooms effectively for teaching and learning to take place and for us to achieve success. In achieving success, we went on and we will look the topic for the day. As I look at the concept, we look at class management as set of activities that are designed to manage behavior of pupils and students. Two, we look at it in the context of having the right atmosphere in order to get to have the right atmosphere for teaching and learning to take place. Then we also talk about having the skills and techniques to be able to manage your classroom and achieve success. Then the last one is, we said classroom management is an art, and it is a science. I didn't talk about the science aspect, but in teaching and learning, or what we call social sciences, so education is part of the social sciences, and that within that context, it is a science. The techniques and strategies that you adopt, when it becomes regular and it can be applied in different environments, in different classroom situations, then it becomes a science. The regularity of it becomes a science. And we continue to look at why it is important to know how to manage your class. We said in that case, if you're able to manage your class, it improves the teaching and learning. Next, it minimizes problematic situations in your class, or you will be able to manage the behaviors of your pupils and students. Then we will also look at it gives the teacher enough time to manage the difficult situations that the pupils and students face. And finally, I said it helps the teacher focus on the objectives of the teaching and learning process. I hope you are all following me. So it is now time for us to take questions, and those who are able to connect, now we will want to take questions or contributions if possible. So now you can unmute your mic if you want to talk, and I will respond to your question or your discussion. Now, so as we do that, I'll also look at the questions that people ask on the WhatsApp platform, and I will respond to them, the questions on the WhatsApp platform. In fact, yes, I can see some people were having challenges. However, I can assure you that we are able to record everything, and you can get a video clip of what we have done. And yes, I'm waiting for questions. This is the time. So these 10 minutes, I'm waiting for your questions or contributions. Oh, sorry, somebody is asking how far now. Unfortunately, the person is not able to get through. Yeah. Yes, some people, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you are welcome. Place your question or contribution. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, thank you, sir. Yes. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 In the performance of the child, of the students, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Can I respond? Now, in the first place, I think that the question you ask come in the context of you apply every technique, but still the child is not following or is not paying attention in the class, and the child is still distractive. In that context, what do you do? Now, like I said already, this question will be addressed when we come to stakeholders. If a teacher can apply all the techniques and it is not working, some of the things we might know, you should know that some things are wrong from the home or the school environment. So that is where the problem might be coming from. That is why we need to apply extra force in extra techniques, going to look at the parents, having discussion with the parents. But this one, I will say that I will not want to go too much into detail of your question because we will be addressing this when we come to look at stakeholders. It is true that some parents or some homes are also not helping us achieve our goals in the classroom, in the teaching and learning process. So the unconventional means is a policy issue. Now, some of us come to understand, and in fact, let me say that I think I can say this. The one who asked the question was one of my thoughts in Ghana, and he knew if I say something here which I'm lying or I'm telling a lie, he will admit that I'm telling a lie. And one thing I think of is that sometimes to applying the unconventional means does not help, because there are times that for me as a person, there are principles I adopt in the teaching and learning process. However, some of the things are policy issues. When it is a policy issue, we need to see how we can manage it, bring the parents and guardians in. So when we come to the stakeholders, we will address that. Now, so that is the question of Mr. Paul Ajiman. Mr. Paul Ajiman. Any other person who want to come in? Yes, we are waiting to listen to your question, suggestion, contribution. Yes. Somebody want to know. Yeah. So I am special educator teaching students with impairment. Okay, that is another area altogether. Okay, it's more of somebody trying to advertise. Yes, we will. Yeah, no, yes, I get the impulse of the person's writing now. Yes, I'll get into contact. Sister Enyunam, I have seen your post. I will address that. Now, somebody want to. Yes, so I'm still waiting for questions, and with our course, what we want to do is we want to stick to time. And this time we are left with about 4 minutes to close this course, our first day training course. We are left with 4 minutes. So if you have a question, bring your question, let's address it. Yes, let me look at this. This sister is saying, as a normal class teacher, if you have one impairment student in your class, you have to realize. I'm trying to get the impulse of what is written. You have to draw individualized program for that one person and must be patient before you can achieve your aim. Yes, I've got it. Sister Enyonam, thank you so much for your contribution. Our sister is saying that sometimes the children that you think are problematic might be having some impairment, learning impairment, and we know the impairments as teachers, different impairment. The child might be having an impairment. Therefore, we have to adopt, you as the teacher must adopt individualized program in order to help that pupil and student to be able to follow your class. In fact, thank you so much, Sister Enyonam, for your contribution. Now, another person says, thanks for this opportunity, sir. I actually enjoy every bit of the section. In managing an effective classroom as a teacher, how do you handle a situation whereby a child you are teaching amongst the pupils in the classroom tends to forget easily? I have seen a situation whereby a child comes to the classroom during test period and forgets to write what he or she claims to know from what you have taught them. So how do I, as a teacher, help such pupil? I think I can go straight forward to Sister Enyonam's contribution. If a child normally forgets easily, it means the child has learning difficulty. Second, if the child does not have a learning difficulty, it might be that there is a problem in the house. There is a challenge in the house. That is why the child is not having much attention. I had that experience before, and when we come to the collective responsibility, I'll share some of them with you. So it might be individual challenge or from the house, or there are other factors that we will look at. So such children need what our sister said, there must be individualized program. And we'll also look at those ones later and how you as the teacher will have to organize to make sure that you help such pupil and students. Yeah, so that is that. Now, the next one is, in fact, somebody said you are not reading the comments. Yes, I'm reading the comments after the discussions. I'm going through the comments, and I think this is the time I'm now talking about them. Okay, so in fact, some of them are just how some people try to get on board. Now, our time is up. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for being on this platform. And I can see some of the comments. Thank you for the positive comments that you are making of this course. And this is the first day. Tomorrow we will continue, and as I said in our outline, tomorrow we will be looking at some problems in the teaching and learning process, and we will also look at how to establish rules of engagement in the teaching and learning process. So those are the two topics. Now, yesterday, somebody wanted to know if after attending this course, will I be able to get a certificate? The answer is yes. I'll put every requirement or what you need to do to get the certificate on the platform. And when you see it, whatever you can do in order to be able to get your certificate, we will be able to do it for you. I can also say that the material, what I'm giving you is just postcard abridged system for you to be able to follow whatever we are doing. The full course material is there, and those who want it to, we can also provide it to them. So I want to thank you all for your participation. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the contributions. I'll say this is a wonderful time I have with you, and I'm also looking at your comments. I'll follow up and I'll try as much as possible to answer your questions. And I'll put some other information that we need for the next training that is tomorrow. I'll put all of them on the platform for you to take or to be able to have access to everything that you want. Thank you all for coming. I want to say, as we always say at Kambel, our vision and mission is to anchor vision and mission, in that we want to anchor people's aspirations through knowledge and skill sets that we will help them to acquire. We have other areas. Kambel International Group is a company. Our focus is on education, career, people, and business development. I hope you come on board and you take advantage of our programs.